In American society, money is a taboo topic. We're taught at a young age it's improper to talk about it, but we're also bombarded with messages about the power and importance of money in our everyday lives. And by not talking about it, we miss out on the skills and lessons we need to effectively understand and financially plan. That changes today. Welcome to Money Tales. Hosted by Sandy Brager and Cami Doder, Money Tales brings more than 35 years of combined professional experience in personal finance to demystify money and demonstrate what it's like to speak openly about personal financial matters. Join us each episode as they interview modern-day movers and shakers about how money decisions intertwine with their daily lives in order to give you better insight into productive financial conversations. Subscribe today and register for our blog Fathom at aspiriant.com/podcasts to increase your money mojo. And now, here's Cami and Sandy.
Albert Shakhnazarov joins us on the show this week. Albert's Money Tales are about the importance of having confidence in yourself and truly believing that you are worthy of living a successful life. Born in a refugee camp in Moscow, Russia, and spending his early years relying on government assistance, Albert heard the same advice: get a job, work for someone else. In his communist homeland, working for yourself was unheard of. When Albert came to the U.S. at the age of 14, he realized success wasn't about hours worked, but the value and impact created. Despite his family's belief that money was the root of all evil, Albert saw the confusion. If money wasn't important, why did everyone chase it and fight over it? Albert committed himself to solving that puzzle and achieving financial success. Today, Albert is the founder and CEO of Axe Elite. The company empowers individuals to shatter their limitations and embrace a world of boundless opportunity. Albert's vision is to establish a formidable sales powerhouse where at least 1,000 people can achieve a life-transforming income of $100,000 or more.
Here are 3 key money topics Albert hits on in this conversation. First, how being exposed to people with money opened his eyes to opportunity, and finding new ways of making money became a type of game for Albert that has led to wisdom and success. Second, how telling their children not now instead of no has allowed Albert and his wife to teach their family important money values and gratitude. And third, how if you don't save money, money won't save you. And if you don't control money, money will control you. We hope you share this episode with a friend, and please subscribe to Money Tales on your favorite podcast platform. Now on to our conversation with Albert Shakhnazarov.
Welcome to the Money Tales podcast. I'm Cami Doder.
And I'm Sandy Brager.
Sandy, I've got a money question for you. What's a favorite saying that your family uses? How does it apply to money?
I don't know if I have a favorite saying that my family says that I like that applies to money, but there's one that directly applies to money that I don't like, which is, when I was younger, my father would always tell my brother, sister, and I that it's just as easy to marry a wealthy person as it is to marry someone who's not wealthy.
I heard that same one, Sandy. I agree. Yuck.
It just makes my blood boil. And why are you saying that, Dad? Don't you have faith? We'll be fine. Money's not everything. That took me off a bit.
It probably put you in a direction, too, of what you've pursued and been so passionate about.
That might be. Maybe it was reverse psychology that he had in mind all along. I don't know. How about you, Cami? What's a saying in your family?
Favorite one for my family is game on. And this is something Roland would say, my husband would say. He'd use it a lot. And sure enough, before we get married, I'm traveling. I'm in Boston. And there's a bar called the Game On Bar. I loved it. So I bought him a hat. And to this day, he wears it. And it still is a saying. And back then, it was about game on. He was pursuing a job and we were dealing with immigration and there was a lot of things. It was like, game on, we got this. And to me, how it relates to money is I was thinking about it recently. He was wearing the hat and someone commented and she knew of the bar. She goes to school out there. And to me, it's a great reflection of our family values because we really are game on when it comes to spending money around family experiences and travel. And through travel, we believe that our kids are being exposed to different cultures and you're learning through that. And so we're really game on when it comes to that. game on to me is our spending in support of those values.
I love that. And I guess it includes really cool hats from cool bars too.
Oh, it's the greatest hat. I mean, come on, game on. I heard a giggle from our guest. Welcome, Albert Shakhnazarov, to the Money Tales podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Wonderful. Would you introduce yourself briefly and share a couple pivotal moments that have taken place in your life that really influenced who you are?
My name is Albert Shakhnazarov. I'm a CEO and founder of Axe Elite, the most powerful and elite sales organization in the world. I was born inside the refugee camp in Moscow, Russia, due to the war that took place in my home country. Living in a refugee camp, it was bittersweet, I would say. And the reason why is because you grew up in a 350 square foot room, public bathrooms, public showers. You got 2 twin beds. You're growing up with not knowing how bad you have it until you start to talk to people who have it good, who look at you and say, man, I can't believe you have to use a public bathroom, or you have to use a public shower, or do you live in such a small room where I have 20 rooms or 15 rooms, or I have a home with privacy. And to me, growing up, I constantly saw how important money was. Having no money, constantly seeing my parents argue over dollar signs, over bills. I knew at a young age that I wanted to grow up and I wanted to be really, really rich. I wanted to have a lot of money, and I wanted to make sure that I never have to say no to my kids, to my wife, to myself, because I didn't have the money. And I wanted to really be in control of my life. Little did I know that wanting money and getting money are two different things, because everybody wants to have money, but no one knows how to get it. So at the young age, I started to ask people, how do I get money? How do I get money? And everybody would tell me the same thing over and over again. Go get a job, go work for someone. But nobody gave me an advice of being my own boss, having something that I am in control of. Being grow up in communism country where everybody had a limited mindset and belief, where they didn't believe that you should work for yourself, that you should exchange your hours for dollars. It kind of set a certain mindset for me when I came to United States of America. And when I came here, I noticed that you got to be able to exchange who you are for what you want. If you want to be able to buy something, you have to be able to pay with money. And then when you pay for money, it's like, well, how much you're worth? What is your time worth? People get paid $10 an hour, $15 an hour. Then you find out there's people that get paid $100 an hour. So you start to wonder, how do I become a person of value so that way I can get paid more? And what I learned was that it's not about how many hours you have or how much you get paid per hour. It's the person that you become and the value and the impact you create. Biggest lesson for me when it comes down to money was that everybody wants it. Not a lot of people have it. And those that have it won't tell you how to get it. So you have to be very, very resourceful to going out there and finding the right information and going out there and building your wealth.
I love that you brought up being resourceful and asking people, how do they go about making money? When did you come to the United States? How old were you?
I was 14, turning 15.
How much time did you spend in the refugee camp before that?
First 7 years of my life.
So where did you land? And tell us a little bit more about your family experiences at that time, at 14, coming to the United States.
I didn't speak one word of English. I came here with my family. My father sacrificed everything, family, friends, work, culture, to come to the greatest country in the world, United States of America, to be able to have an opportunity to be able to give to his children to have a better life. And we came here with $800, nothing else. We were sponsored by Catholic Church for 1 month, where we were told, we'll pay for your rent, we'll pay for your food, but after 1 month, you're on your own. And I just saw how having the lack of money put such a stress and pressure on my father, on my family. That same night that we arrived, the next morning, My dad was already walking around the street, knocking on every possible business, asking for work because he knew that he had to provide and protect his family. For me, I lost sense of guidance because both of my parents had to work. My older brother had to work. And when you are 14, 15 years old, you just start to see how parents have to work, older brother has to work, all working for this green thing called money, the dollars. And you start to realize how really important and how everything around us revolves around money. And that there's parents, there's families, all their focus is how do I go out there and make money so that way I can either survive or I can maintain the lifestyle. And for me, I never thought I wanted to have a lot of money until I met people who had money. When you're poor, when you don't know the opportunities and the life that you get to enjoy and experience when you have money, you think that not having money is normal. So seeing how much importance money had around me made me really want to find money, really get to have money.
Albert, I'd like to dig into that for a moment because you came to the United States when you were 14. Were you aware of money before you came here?
I did because living in a refugee camp, being somebody that had constantly hand down clothes, staying in a government assistance, looking for how to get some food, some shelter, and all these different things, I knew that I had less than certain people. And I knew that there's people that had more than me, but I didn't understand why they had more than me. And it was a little puzzle that I wanted to figure out. And every time I would talk to my father or any family member about money, it was almost against it. It was that we don't talk about money. We're not supposed to bring up the money subject. Money is not everything. Money is root of all evil. Money is not that important. But yet, if it's not so important, why is everybody going after it? If it's not so important, why are you and mom fighting for it? Growing up was very confusing, but connecting the dots and seeing how there was a side where people had money and how they lived, I knew that I wanted that.
You gained exposure while you were living in Moscow. You come to the United States. I imagine that you see it even more. And there's a lot of stress because your family has 1 month to get their economic life together here, which sounds really daunting and really frustrating. So you became envious of people with money. And I'm curious, how did you begin to have a grasp of what wealth is and really quantifying that?
I wouldn't say I got envious of people with money. I actually got motivated. I got inspired. If that person can have money, if that person can drive to school in a car, why do I have to take a bus? If that person gets to wear new cleats to play soccer, why do I have to go to a shelter or ask somebody to hand me down the cleats so that way I can play soccer? For me, it was just realizing that there's opportunity to go out there and get money that other people were able to do. So there has to be a way. And if there's a way, then I have to find what that way was.
Describe that process, Albert. Finding out how to do it. Did you yourself get a traditional job and then branch out on your own? Or what was your process?
Even living in a refugee camp and growing up in Moscow, I would go in and I would walk into abandoned buildings and I would take away aluminum or copper and I would grab those things and I would go into the forest and I would burn the copper, the aluminum, and I would sell it for a metal. And I would grab that money and I would say, wow, it was hard. It was annoying cutting the rubber from the aluminum or the copper, burning it, getting all these things, being dirty. But the fact that I was able to earn the money and not wait for somebody at such a young age, it gave me opportunity to build confidence that I'm in control of my own economy. And then using that money of burning aluminum, selling fruits, even climbing the trees and collecting apples and reselling the apples door to door in different homes, I took all that money and then I purchased a moped, and then I would rent out that moped, and I would take that money and then have other people rent out my moped and give me the money. It was constantly having these entrepreneurial journeys to where I would be exposed of creating either small businesses or situations where I would make profit. So when I came to the United States, they told me you have to be 16 years old to work. And I said, well, I want to make money. I need to make money. I need to help my family. I had to work under the table and unload trucks, break boxes, so that way these people could pay me cash. But I was constantly working since the young age because I knew the importance of money.
That's fascinating. So you had that entrepreneurial spirit inside you, your natural innate ability of yours.
I think just being able to know, well, mom and dad are fighting for money. And if I could go out there and make a little bit of money, will they stop fighting? Will that help? Will that be able to stop the bleeding? It's almost like being able to have that motivation to play the game. And you're playing the game of, if I could just collect this much money, will I get to the next level? To me, it was always a game. It's always getting to the next level.
You think you need a game on hat, Albert?
Oh, yeah. That's why I chuckled a little bit.
I'm curious, Albert, once you started making money and contributing to the family, did it cause your parents to stop arguing about it?
It did not. It was never enough money, because no matter how much money I tried to help with, let me pay for this bill, let me pay for that bill, it would never be enough. When you have lack of money, you start to forget about values. You start to forget about the things that are important. Having no money makes you become very irrational person that makes emotional decisions. And you forget that it's important to lead by example. It's important to not argue in front of your children. It's important to keep the family alive, staying together. I witnessed that all at the first sight because my mom and my dad split because of lack of money. I was not able to go to certain places, certain opportunities. I was an athlete. I couldn't participate part of certain programs because of the lack of money. To me, it was very important to find a way to help, but no matter how much I wanted to help, it was never enough.
Thanks for painting this amazing picture, and hard, challenging, but you learned so much through that. So you knew you wanted to be really, really rich. And then you talked about you want to be in a position with your family to never have to say no because of the money. Are you there yet?
I am. I became a multimillionaire at the age of 28. I consider myself very favored by God. It's important for us to realize that I'm a human with God's grace and just being able to be guided in the right position. I was put in a position to make a lot of money, but today I have a company that gives people an opportunity, people like myself who have a huge ambition, huge desire to do well, but they lack opportunities. They lack vehicles that can give them a chance to be more, to make more. And that's why I created the company that I have today.
How does it feel, Albert, to be in that financial position?
It's amazing. I have 3 children, 8, 6, and 2, and they're business owners. They own vending machines. They go out there and sell popcorn door to door. They're walking in this week. They're going to be making their first $50,000 investment because they understand the power of money, and they understand that money shouldn't control who you are. Money just needs to be able to give you leverage to do and be who you want to be.
So it sounds like you're having some really good money conversations in your family, the one you created, as opposed to the one that you came from. Tell us about how you're doing that so successfully.
I believe it's important for us to understand that everything we've been through, everything that we saw and faced, it's our opportunity to teach others not to go through the same mistakes. It's for us to be able to create better futures. And having children, I want to make sure my children become financially educated. I want to make sure my children understand that they shouldn't be working for someone else. They should be creating opportunities. And I'm not the type of parent that imposes things on my children. I'm the type of parent that educates my children about finances, money, relationships, network, and the things that I didn't get to learn from my family, my parents. I want to make sure that my kids have a little bit more of a wisdom than I did. So it's very easy to share these experiences knowing that they're going to be in a better position than I ever was.
Albert, do you ever say no to them, to their financial requests?
We actually do not say no. We say not now. And that's a big difference.
It is. No is frustrating.
Yeah, I grew up with hearing no's, no matter what it was. It could be a chocolate bar, it could be a toy, it could be a comic book. It didn't matter. It was always constant no. And I didn't hold a grudge on my parents. I was not mad at them. I understood that what was more important, putting food on the table or buying a toy. But when it comes to my children who are fortunate enough to be born into a household that has multiple different cars, living in $1 million home, having a pool. I grew up in a refugee camp. They're growing up in a 6,000 square foot home, having all the luxuries that you can think of. You have to teach them gratitude. You have to teach them that there's other people who have it less. And the fact that they have it, it doesn't mean that they get to keep it. The fact that they have it, they have to learn on how to maintain it and how to continue to earn it. Children are homeschooled, so our curriculum at home is very different than our regular public schools or private schools. We teach about God, we teach about finances, faith, we teach about family, and we constantly want to instill certain principles into our children that you need to earn things. And if you look at your bank account and you look at your spending money, and if you don't have enough, it's not now. Go out there and be resourceful, figure out on what you need to do to be able to get it. To us, it's all about education and pivoting to becoming better.
Albert, I think that's fantastic, especially given the ages of your children, with the oldest being only 8 years old. It's really great modeling.
Thank you.
I'm curious, when was the first time that you felt financially powerful, and what did that feel like to you?
To me, even being in the position that I'm in today, I do not feel financially powerful. And the reason why is because I'm telling you, it's like a game. One wrong move, one wrong decision, you can lose it all. And the beauty about being in the position that I'm in is not about having a lot of money. It's about having a lot of knowledge, having a lot of connections, having a lot of experiences to know that even if I were to lose everything, I know how to get it back because I have done it over and over again. To me, it wasn't a moment where I made certain amount of money. I mean, I closed deals that paid me $500,000. I have made $2 million in 1 month. It wasn't that sense of accomplishment that gave me a belief that I'm powerful because of money. What gave me a sense of having power was knowing that I don't need anything or anyone to go out there and earn. In this world, we don't have lack of money. We have lack of people who are not willing to go out there and get it. So knowing that I have that hustle in me, knowing that I'm the type of person that's willing to get it, that's what gave me the power.
Your company, Elite, is in support of what you just said there, where it's really not about helping people become wealthier. It's helping them achieve their dreams. And with that, likely wealth comes. Would you share with your people that you bring in, what are sort of the top 3 things you're hoping they walk away from in their experience with you and working with or at Elite?
First, importantly, I think, especially in the United States, a lot of kids are born with lack of parental support, where there's no guidance. There's a lot of people who grow up without a father figure. There's a lot of people who grow up without a mother figure. And I think both are very important. Them coming into this industry or coming into working with me, the first thing I notice is their lack of self-conception, lack of belief that they deserve more, lack of belief that they can go out there and live their life by design and not by default. So to me, the first thing I teach people is that they have to begin to think bigger for themselves, because if they don't, no one else will. So therefore, they need to know that they're worthy enough of living a successful life, that they are worthy enough to be able to acquire anything that they desire, any car, any home, any amount of money. They are in control. If they don't believe that they're the right person, the opportunity will never come. So it's all about becoming that person that's attracting success, attracting wealth, attracting money. So we teach them to be able to work on their self-conception. That's number one. Number two is for them to know that it's important not to waste your 20s. We have a lot of young people, and I wish somebody would guide me the way we guide people in our company, because a lot of people put this misconception that in your 20s, you're supposed to be living your best life. You have to go party, you have to go travel the world, you have to do all those things. And then you come back, you're 30 years old, and then you start your career. So what we teach them is the power of time. And the power of time is that while you're young, you got to be able to think winter and summer and winter, because the dark days will come. You're going to get older. You're not going to be able to have that much enthusiasm. If you want to get married, you want to have kids, you're going to have mortgage, you're going to have more debt, you're going to have all these things. So you want to be able to have preparation. And the law of 5 Ps, which is proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you actually prepare yourself correctly, in the next 5 years, you become a 6-figure earner or so, you're able to make right financial decisions, and you become in control of your money, and you get to do whatever it is that you want to do. And you no longer have to be a slave to the economic system. And the third thing that we teach is that you have to do 3 things. You have to make money, you have to save money, and you have to multiply that money. I always say this to people, young people, they think that cars are important. They think bling bling is important. If you don't save money, money won't save you. It's important that you go get a nice car. You do go get a nice watch. You do go dress up nicely. But first, you got to have priorities. And those priorities is making sure that when things get gloomy and dark, the money will save you. Importantly, that you don't want to just work for money. You want to make money work for you. It's important for you to have an investment plan to go out there and say, how do I turn $1 to $100? How do I multiply that $1 to maybe become $10, from $10 to $50, from $50 to $500? But if you don't start, it will never happen.
You are a man of wisdom, and you have a lot of great money sayings. I love them. There's a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell us, what's your next money conversation going to be, and who's it going to be with?
My next money conversation happens every single day, multiple times a day. We have to constantly have the control over our money, or our money will have control over us. And I have conversation with my wife about money. I have conversation with my team about money. But the next conversation is about money going to be with our contractor, because we're renovating the entire office. That's going to be the next conversation. How much money do we need to spend to be able to make this place even bigger and better?
That's awesome. I have a tangential question, and that is, your parents are still living, correct?
Both of my parents are thankfully alive. Very happy of that.
Are you having money conversations with your parents today?
It's difficult, and I choose not to, and I'll explain to you why. We all heard us saying you can't teach a old dog a new trick. Having a Armenian father who is 61 years old, who had 4 heart surgeries, teaching something to him is very difficult. But retiring him and making sure that he never has to work and that he never has to worry about money was the biggest accomplishment for me. To me, rather than talking about money or trying to educate my father on the money, I think I just want him to enjoy living his life to the best possible ability. And what I learned is that you don't want to take advice or have conversations with people that may not have the results that you desire. I love my father. He's a great dad, the great husband. He is a great cook. And if I need an advice on how to cook salmon, on how to raise good children, I will talk to him about it. But the most amount of money my dad ever made was $35,000. You can't teach me or understand how to play the game of money because he never played at that level.
That's so interesting, Albert. Listen, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you for that. Before we let you go, would you share with our listeners where's the best place for them to find you?
Absolutely. I am very active on Instagram. My Instagram tag is YoungHustlerBX3. And you can also reach us on our website, axelite.com. Those are the two places that I'm constantly on.
So great, Albert. What a pleasure. Thank you again for being our guest on Money Tales.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Money Tales podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you think would benefit from listening. And leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Your ratings and reviews help more people find our podcast. If you're inspired to gain clarity and peace of mind about financial matters, don't hesitate to reach out to our team at Aspiriant. Go to aspiriant.com/start a dialogue. Or you can email Sandy and me at podcasts@aspiriant.com. See you next time.